With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Did somebody call for a wild battle for the championship? Well, last time out, in the PRL's F3 series, it really set the table for a wild and dramatic next few rounds. We start off the closing stages of the season here in the month of August with the trip to Donington Park. Justin Prince with you. Derek Watson is away. Raphael Sankey producing as we get set to go racing here from the UK. The pressure increasing for many competitors as they make their way towards the final 4 races of the season. Round 7 taking place today as these drivers get ready to make their way around the UK with the Nürburgring, Detroit, as well as Laguna Seca right around the corner. The pressure indeed is on to make sure drivers are ready for the ups and downs of the rest of the campaign. Julio Placio leads the way after an up and down last time out. Still yet to get a victory this season on the board, however. J.R. Williams and Juan Cofre in the top 3. Juan Cofre, a huge storyline, however. After a lap 1 crash in a DNF, it's not only the drop round having been taken for Juan Cofre last time out, it's a points penalty that gets inserted into Earn 2 because of the incident. 15 points the penalty. Francisco Gonzalez along with Robert Ridgway, the top 5. Verdi Olivier, a huge hit as a result of technical issues from the race lead. Vasconcelos Lehman and Kevin Sandiego rounding up the top 10 after his 2 DNSs. In the team side of things, SRT Esport Blue leads the way team-wise over Atomic Racing because of the technical issue for Dominic Olivier. And him being the best driver when it comes to the organization, Novando having the bad luck at the start of the last round. Well, they picked up 0 points for the first time this season, dropping them to 3rd. SRT Esport Green, Rust Racing Oxide, the top 5. Also in the 300 bracket, Rust Racing Oxide with YS Motorsports Gold and Atomic Geezers. Eagle CF Racing, Sub Racing, Rust Racing Iron amongst your top 10 in the point standings. As drivers get themselves situated for today's action here on RaceSpot, look to see how these teams adapt to Donington Park. Remind you that series tonight is brought to you apart by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products used in Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Completely priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceBoxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount. Use the Precision 5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker includes products that add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic. Their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, a handbrake, or a sequential shifter, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. Brandness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit Morandness.com. And by Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Less than 6 minutes to go in qualifying. Let's take a look at how things are going because some surprises up at the top of the board. As some drivers look to reset their runs, it's Calvix Poon from Hong Kong who is up at the top of the board. The quickest driver for much of practice, continuing to keep up the pace here in qualifying. A 1:19.696. Poon ahead of Boris Avano and Kevin Sandiego by 1 and 2 tenths respectively. Placio still with a 120 flats, as well as Manuel Vargas having their best qualifying run of the season inside the top 5, looking to bring out Animo Vargas, as the back wing says on that car tonight. Few drivers are missing tonight's action of note. Juan Cofre, not amongst the drivers currently at the facility. A huge hit for Juan Cofre, who's expected to be a championship competitor much of this season. Final board with Poon as we get set to run on the Grand Prix layout of Donington Park. This respective racetrack and its layout, 12 turns. Capacity 120,000 fans, at one point hosting F1 Grand Prix before the recession in 2008. Now today, hosts plenty of the top series in the United Kingdom across its 2.4 2.5-ish miles. Placio looking to bump up the board. This time by, it doesn't count. So this time around, Placio on the flyer. Right now, needing to pick up at least 4/10 for the pole. J.R. Williams, meanwhile, his teammate, keeping the pressure up for the championship. Just 12 points back entering today. Lost 2 points as a result of how things played out last time out. Williams, that time around, a 120.5. Not quick enough to be able to move up the board. Aragona, of course, last time out, San Diego picked up the victory over Mitchell, Ian Green. Placio did pick up a podium, however. Most points going to San Diego and Ian Green. So some of the drivers looking to keep things together here amidst some of their battles, such as Brett Thurman. One of the drivers for SRT Esport currently in the 14th position. Right now, 25th in the points, however, 2 DNFs so far. 120.2, though. Up a little bit when it comes to the qualifying order. Inside the top 10, in fact, as things actuate. Loretto Marini also amongst those looking to have a clean race today because qualifying has outright improved dramatically for the Chilean driver. Driver who has had some solid qualifying speed but has not had the finishing performances they've been looking for. Placio, meanwhile, that time by looked to improve, did not, was about 1.2 seconds off the pace. As we continue on, James Nonamaker amongst the drivers in the field, attempting to qualify around tonight. Daniel Cranefuss also in the field, looking to make their 5th race of the season. So at least a couple other competitors looking to make themselves known. Nonamaker has made all but one round this season, but has run in the back much of the way. Looking back to Poon. When it comes to Calix, it's been a part-time run so far. 2 previous starts. Each time, points finishes inside the top 10 in point score for the rounds. Poon looking very difficult to beat and very dialed in, and to the point where they know exactly how to diamond the line to get the build-up to start a qualifying run. Could be difficult to top the 59 in the next 2 minutes. Looking around the track, meanwhile, some drivers looking to pick up speed. Christian Jasper yet to get a qualifying time. Brad Miller still at the bottom of the board. Andrew Moran amongst those. A lot of expectations when it comes to the speed coming in. Moran this season, though, after missing around and DNFing in another, all the way back in 20th for the one-time F4 Series champion. Right now has a little bit of draft off Nonamaker. YS Motorsports car with an organization that just in the past season had been one of the top organizations, slipping back further down the pylon this year. 120.487. Up 2 spots goes Moran. Looking like Calix Poon closing out qualifying this time by, if not the next time. Less than a minute to go in this session for the runoff begins. Some of the notables towards the mid-pack. Mitchell Ian Green coming off a podium last time, still in the top 10. Cranefuss, who was leading the way in practice much of the day before at the end of that session, 12th on the board. Placio still yet to break ahead, though, to find 4/10 of a second, despite a very ice-cold racetrack. Just 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and that car spins around on the ice. So there goes Placio's qualifying run coming to an end. Robert Ridgway now coming into the final sector. Now with this layout, drivers will be utilizing the Melbourne hairpin today. So expect that to be a potential slide point and ascend point. Same for Goddard's before that run up towards that clock and that start and finish line. Checker flag waving on the session. Ridgway, a 120.4 does not improve. So that leaves a few drivers with chances to close out the run. Steven Ritters, amongst those who can close out the runs, Manuel Vargas. Boris Avando has a chance at the pole if they can find a 10th this time around. That should just about do it for most of the others. Ritters, this time around, no improvement, stays 14th. As mentioned, Manuel Vargas having a stellar qualifying run here tonight. Vargas, TB Kart Chile, has had one disqualification to the incident points and now will slide off the racetrack and have to settle for 6th. One driver looking not to settle, though, Ovando. After the incident on lap 1 before turn 1 last week, looking to make up for things to score his team some big-time points. A 1:19.743. It's 1,000th slower than his previous time. That is no change on the board, and that should just about do it. Only one other driver can put up a time. It's Jeff Groff. With 45 seconds in the session, small improvement, no change in position, and in turn, that closes qualifying. So all the drivers have set the qualifying laps. Christian Jasper, interestingly enough, did not record times after taking part in practice, electing to leave the facility after being dead last on those setting times in the pre-qualification session. Just a few moments away from tonight's action, let's take a look at how we'll start tonight from the UK. Alex Boone starts on the pole with Boris Ovando alongside, 46/100ths of a second the difference. Kevin Sandiego for Delta Sport looking to stay up towards the front again, with Loretto Marini in 4th. Placio and Vargas row 3. Behind them, J.R. Williams with some pressure, looking to keep up with his teammate to battle for the title. Kevin McPherson in 8th, Moran and Thurman amongst the top 10. Mitchell Ian Green finishes the session in 11th, with Robert Ridgway for Atomic Racing in 12th. Crane Fuss, City, Ritters, and Condé in the top 16. Richard Swindells and Jake Vasconcelos, another rough qualifying session, 18th. Jeff Groff, along with Vincent General. Brian Miles, very deep in the field alongside Takeshi Kita tonight, a teammate for Atomic Racing. Nicholas Colander, James Notamaker at the top 24. Two other drivers set times in the session, James Carter and Brad Miller. And as mentioned, Christian Jasper, the last driver to have a starting slot, but is not at the facility. 45 minutes, 32 laps up on the board for tonight's action for the PRL's F3 Series. The pressure on for the championship. It's the question, which driver will execute the best when it comes to Donington Park? As mentioned, this racetrack, a tricky one with the 12 turns to be able to conquer when it comes to its ability to not just find the grip, but to be able to battle around the racetrack. Lots of long straightaways and some sweeping sections, in fact, potentially build up some draft. Expect some sends today, as mentioned, up the Melbourne, Hairpin, and Goddard's. There also could be a lot of off tracks heading to the S's as well as out of Compass with the amount of speed coming off McLean's to turn 8. Which driver will get the best run off the red gate to start off the action? We're just about to find out. Waiting on the last of the two drivers, Kevin Sandiego, Robert Ridgway, before we hit the track. 32 laps. Again, field strategy expected. Pit stops around 12 minutes to go up on the board for today's race. Will Ridgway make it to the racetrack in time? He does. That means we're all set to go. Glad to have you with us from Donington Park Racing Circuit. It's GP Layout. Round 7 of the PRL's F3 Series is underway from the United Kingdom. Oh, and some tire spin for Poon. Poon loses the lead. Ovando to the lead already. Sandiego taking it away on the outside. 4 wide in the heart of the pack through Redgate as they make the way through the Craner curves for the first time today. Poon already dropping back to 3rd. Ovando trying to find a way to get clean air behind Sandiego. Poon trying to recover with the draft. All while it's side by side at the end of the top 10. Manuel Vargas nearly to the side pod of Robert Ridgway. Ridgway forced to try the inside line to make their way up through McLean's to Compass for the first time today. Brett Thurman amongst those picking up a couple grid slots as a result of the shuffling. James Nonamaker has had an issue at the back of the field and is already amongst those having to take a tow. Single file already forming throughout the rest of the pack early on in this race to make the way through the S's for the first time. No other major spins despite the just one tow so far today. Oh, and now it's a crash. Hard in the braking zone. There goes the back wing of J.R. Williams. J.R. Williams, a championship contender, with Andrew Moran collide. An absolute hit to J.R. Williams and his chance at a championship. An unbelievable sequence as Andrew Moran once again troubles in the braking zones. Similar things happen at Aragon with some contact. Let's take a look at the replay. This having championship ramifications, second in the title fight. The YS Motorsports Gold driver runs up the back wing and sheds it off. So the SRT Esport blue car of J.R. Williams now out of the race with the tow and repairs. Andrew Moran has already pulled out of the race as our second DNF Nautomaker having technical issues as a reason of his tow. Already several drivers slipping back in the midst of that sequence. Kevin McPherson losing a spot. Mitchell Ian Green already in the top 6, up 5 spots in a lap and a half. Looking at some of the drivers look to gather things together. Robert Ridgway in that train right behind McPherson. Ridgway, a series veteran. Nearly running to the breaker boards trying to build up the draft. This is in the second pack. Ridgway up the inside. Drew Melbourne takes the spot away. Move Ridgway up to 7th. McPherson trying to find a way to get the outside groove to work. Not going to play things out the way that they were looking for, though. But in turn, because of that battle, Mitchell Ian Green is now on an island. He's on his own by at least a 1/10 of a second, if not a full second. Inside what's turning out to a third pack, Blake Seedy looking to find a way to bake his way ahead up to Brett Thurman's wing. Last time by to start off the first flying laps, 1:22.5s and a spin in front. Fabio Conde is off the track in the 111. And we still keep on going. Meanwhile, Ritters nearly goes into the side pod of Ziti. Ritters in turn under attack by Atomic Geezers and several of his teammates. Jake Vasconcelos trying to pass all the Atomic cars. Having to back out of it, heading to the S's. Back to single file. Ryan Miles regroups behind Swindells as they gather it back up. So for those just tuning in, coming up to 29 laps to go, just a couple laps into the action here on RaceSpot. Donington Park F3 Series for the Precision Racing League. It's 7th round. Some drivers having some troubles, such as Fabio Conde, the 111 running as high as 10th right before the grass. That run through McLean's has a lot of elevation change coming out of Starkey's Bridge. Seen drivers already paying the price. Kevin Sandiego, he's got himself a lot of clean air to work with. 0.8 of a second the gap over Ovando. Poon keeping a hold of the draft as well. As mentioned, San Diego has been busy when it comes to his schedule throughout the campaign. This time around, picked up win number 1, believe it or not, of his career last time out in the PRL's F3 Series. Very successful when it comes to the sports cars, the Miatas, the GR86s, but had not been in this spot before. And now he's off the track. A bobble going on. Let's take a look at the replay quickly with Vasconcelos in live action. San Diego is losing the lead, just like Jake Vasconcelos lost the back end. In this sequence, Ovando trying the high line, San Diego inside. Ovando trying to take advantage of San Diego's mistakes, starting to build up early. How about a peel to the right side with a contact to the tires and they wreck? A wreck for the race lead. Boris Ovando and Kevin San Diego collide. Calix Poon back to the point. Unbelievable is what you can describe this round so far. Marini, meanwhile, has a chance for the race lead for the first time all season. An unbelievable race, and let's take a look at what happened. This started off the sequence. When we first showed the replay, San Diego had been looking calm. Then right as we started the play, this is what we were talking about. This clip of the curb. Vondo nearly took advantage, but slid his tires too. causing him to lose a little bit of momentum, with San Diego able to pitch on the outside still. Everything looks solid all the way until you get to the front straightaway. Because as we've seen, the margins for that inside line, if you get to the inside groove in Redgate, can be pretty substantial. Watch Ovando tries to switch back. And right, hit there they hit once, then they hook again. So as a result, Kevin San Diego back to 6th. J.R. Williams has picked up all his damage repairs, so he's back on the racetrack. Boris Ovando still holding on to 3rd. Now, talking about Marini and how huge this could be. As we take a look at some of the other battles on circuit, it's worth noting when it comes to Marini's situation in the 45, he hasn't finished a race this season. 3 disqualifications, 2 DNSs, and a DNF. If the 45 can hold on, that could be huge. San Diego trying to find a way to get back around Ridgeway, meanwhile, for the 6th spot. Robert Ridgeway already saying he's waving kindly after that contact. Ridgeway looking like there's at least some speed still in the car despite the hit to the side pod. Their mistake, though, through the S's. Manuel Vargas stays in the line, not able to find the draft around. Although he will find the break around. Vargas moves up. Kevin San Diego rubs his front wing against his left rear tire. Now there's damage to the end plate. The race continues to get very busy, and we're still very early in the race on lap 7. Keep in mind, when it comes to Vargas throughout the season, it's been up and down, as we talked about. Best qualifying run. Had to come back from the end of the top 10 after the qualifying run and the poor first lap. His best finish, about 11th place this season. Currently on line for a potential first top 10 of the season if that 22 can keep it clean. By the way, Ridgeway starting to break away from this pack. 121.2s for a majority of the field. The leaders running the 120.3s. Now the speed's fairing out. Here comes the speed for Ritters, though. One to the S's, showing the nose. Does Thurman give it to him? Yes, he does. Blake Seedy looking to take advantage on the cross-up. And now Richard Swindell's trying to take advantage of both of them on the cross-up. Having to back out of it, near contact from Daniel Cranefuss. Bit of tire spin as well as they leaned on those right rear tires as they make their way to the final corner. Choo-choo train effect in full force around this racetrack. There have been now small packs starting to form. Marini and Ovando now with their own pack. Vargas, San Diego, McPherson a pack. That grouping, we're keeping an eye on the pack. Ovando already starting to weave and want to show the nose. Despite the contact, looking clean. Marini already pressing the command buttons with them falling off 2 seconds over the past couple laps. Lap traffic is ahead, though. James Nonamaker trying to stop on the track to let him go. Looks like everyone gets by cleanly. Let's take a look at what happened to Nonamaker. This might have not just been simple as traffic management. Or it could be. Remember, he is down to lap 2 to technical issues. 3 laps, in fact. So let's the whole field try and go. Marini trying to hold on with the pressure. Here is the major kicker, though. Outside of Calix Poon and Boris Ovando, you know who's flying through this pack? Mitchell Ian Green again. For the 2nd straight week, Mitchell Ian Green's got the pace. He's now 5 car lengths back of these 2. Last time by, the 19 was 4/10 quicker than Marini. At the end of the racetrack, Cranefuss, Russ Racing Oxide. Seen already one trouble with the bobble before. This time, went fully around for the 55. Meanwhile, troubles at the back of the field as well. Vincent General has spun in that same section. In fact, in the first sector of the 74, we still keep going. So a couple drivers getting loose. These tires burn off and quickly. Right now, Manuel Vargas holding off Kevin San Diego. Kevin McPherson, Steven Ritter's also in this choo-choo train. No draft effect to be able to get up to Ridgeway, so we'll have to find a way to close up on pure speed with how things are going here. See the difference on those braking marks, a part of the major critical points of confidence, but also just how much grip there is in terms of the downforce levels, as well as how those cars can rumble today. Vargas, little slide, a little off track. San Diego wants to run to the S's down the hillside. Forces one compromised line, can't force the second. Trouble up in front. Boris Ovando, the 2 car from third spot, has had a spin. Nearly rejoins right in the heart of that pack. Marini now on his own. Mitchell and Green losing the draft. This is how Boris Ovando lost the car. Left rear tires yet again. Coming out of the old hairpin. Just able to avoid rejoining right in the heart of the biggest train on the track. Ovando now back to 11th. Let's take a look meanwhile at Julio Placio. Still in 4th. He had to dodge that wave and quickly. You see him having to move to the left to be able to drive on by cleanly. So right now the separations continue to expand. Looking at one of those trains form up as Jake Vasconcelos is now pulled around the racetrack with problems in a meatball flag. 7th place, San Diego. It's now lost touch to Vargas. All these drivers, though, very similar on lap times. 121s on the average, the past 5 laps. Pearson has a chance on the run, though. Nothing to McLean's. Forced to reset Ritter's. Not allowing him to fully reset yet. Forces the push. Poking around the inside, Ritter's not able to find a way alongside of the S's. That run up through that S's section, one of the most dangerous parts of the racetrack today. The shorter version of the layout has that turn to the right that cuts out these 2 hairpins. These 2 hairpins seem to have really caused a lot of the tension today for that run up out down the front straightaway after. Biggest mover, by the way, today, Ryan Miles. It's worth noting, the 31 car, and a slide off the track. That's Kevin McPherson into the grass. And just when it looks like it calms down, it intensifies quickly. All this as well, Jake Vasconcelos, we talked about mandatory damage repairs off the racetrack. This is why. And that was enough to break the car as the side pod rolls away. Speaking of drivers rolling away in terms of some of these packs, looking at some of this grouping, Marini, Mitchell and Green, 4 seconds nearly behind Calix Poon. These drivers half a second off the tempo to Poon, or at least Marini is. Mitchell Green with the draft was quicker than the leader, now slower. Here's a look at the battle behind. That's Kevin McPherson trying to recover from the off-track. Boris Ovando looking to recover from two different incidents today. No dice, and nearly dicing up the rear wing of another car. Boris Ovando trying to force it this time down the S's. Not usually a passing spot to corner curves, as well as that run to the old hairpin for good reason. Ryan Miles all over the back end of the two. Good cushion built up by McPherson. 5 car lengths and off the track, Ovando. Ovando into the sand trap. Boris Ovando dropping all the way to the back of the field yet again. He loses another 3 seconds with that mistake. A terrible day for the Precision Racing Esports driver, who was looking to recover after having such a good qualifying run before disaster last week. This time, another self-inflicted error. Boris Ovando back to 17th position as a result. At least a second and a half back, and now Ovando's coming into the pit lane. So obviously something after that initial contact has started to extremely sour over. All this as well. Manuel Vargas has been reeled back in by San Diego and Ritters after a little bit of a gap building up. Boris Ovando, of note, has now jumped out of the 2 car. Looks to be potentially done. We'll see if the 2 returns. San Diego, the error car in that initial incident that sparked the decline of Ovando's race. Trying to overcome what happened there. For the most part, unscathed, just losing a lot of track position, maybe, if anything, a small bit of damage to the floor. Just has not been able to find the speed since that situation. Has been running up to a second slower than the leader. Blake Seedy at this point now starting to reel in this draft, in fact, with how this tempo is playing out. 120.7 last time. Let's take a listen for the lap. Kevin San Diego showing where in the world he is on the racetrack. So much dirty air for Kevin San Diego to deal with right now. This has not been an easy time. And Kevin San Diego knows it. Pit stop time for the triple, for the double 8. San Diego now in. Kevin McPherson, Jeff Groff also in, so scheduled pit window underway at the halfway point. Calix Poon now ran away by 5 seconds. Mitchell Green is now in second. Marini holding on third for now over Placio. This is a racetrack where the pit lane has that exit rejoin right to the very edge of the racing line. Drivers had some instruction entering the day. The drivers' meeting led by James Carter to emphasize things and through the race notes earlier in the week, I should say. where drivers were told to make sure to keep an eye on their relative as they exited the pit lane to make sure there were no incidents today. Will that catch anybody off guard is a huge question. Kevin Santiago, for reference, 16th spot, 38 seconds behind the leader. Net pit delta about 22 seconds. Expect that one to be pushed to the very tail end of these runs for fuel. And Alex Poon, we talked a little bit about the driver from Hong Kong. Very competitive on the road courses, has been on the platform for the past few years, since 2018 in fact. It's competed, in fact, some of the higher up levels of championship special events. BMW Sim GT Cup, for example, second split runner in that respective series. As well, when it comes to, in the past 2 years, doing well in the endurance races. Was a very quick driver when it comes to the region, one of the best you can find from the area, and very devoted to this car this year, after all. They're in the top 300 in the points. Taking a look at some of the others like Jeff Groff, they're amongst those on the pit strat. Christian Jasper, if on the track, might have been a potential contender. Instead, having a run on his lonesome today for his organization. When it comes to Jeff Groff, scored his first points of the season last time out. What's been a bit of a rough one. Mitchell Ian Green, by the way, is in, also towing into the pit lane and out of the race, Vincent General. So more of the leaders coming in. We'll see if anyone else follows suit for their 6 seconds of fuel in the tank. Mitchell Ian Green coming out in solid positioning. That's how big the track position has been today. 26 seconds behind the leader. Reference San Diego is still 12 seconds back of the 19 car. Can Mitchell Ian Green battle it out for back-to-back podiums, if not the win? Manuel Vargas of Unstall's looking to see if they can pick up their best run all year. 22, after being a driver running in the 20s earlier this year in earlier seasons. It's been a major improvement for Animal Vargas. And for those who missed the reference earlier, that is something that Manuel Vargas has now put on the back wing. So that is not out of random. Alex Poon, not out of random into the pit lane. We have Placio Loretto Marini, who lost a spot to Placio right before the pit window. Coming on and in. 5-second pit window. Poon coming out in clean space, no one around, and Poon maintains net race lead. However, Mitchell Ian Green has cycled to second. Net second on the racetrack for the Rust Racing Iron driver. It's still, however, a deficit that is fairly solid on the racetrack, at least 3 corners behind. Placio 2 seconds behind. Marini at least 6 seconds behind Ian Green. Speaking of the 45, that's Daniel Krenfuss who drives on by. Marini trying to play it careful with their best run all season. Krenfuss, remember, meanwhile, had a spin earlier. Nearly got a little bit loose on that rear tire. The tight complex has caught out plenty of drivers today. For those just tuning in, Robert Ridgway, meanwhile, leading some of the first laps of the 17 season, coming into the pit lane this time. Expecting a majority of the others to peel in this time, coming to 13 laps to go. Krenfuss has confirmed that they will be also coming in. Miles, Ritters already in the case of Ritters and Ridgway, quickest pit stops of the race, under 5 seconds. Conde is also now in. Brad Miller coming in for pit service. Miles losing a decent amount of time, though, compared to a couple of the others on that very short fuel strat. Ritter's Vargas San Diego is now how they've shuffled. San Diego losing ground as a result of the earlier pit stop call by at least 2 spots. Ridgway, in turn, with the result of how much he was able to save, it appears, to push the distance to close out the window, is in potential line for a top 4, if not the podium. Ridgway, 2 seconds back of Placio, could potentially be in line for his best run all season. Working around the racetrack, coming up to 12 laps to go. Ritter, San Diego, Vargas, Ziti now in the pack. All in troubles hearing for Daniel Cranefuss. After their sequence off the track for a second spin just a second ago in Melbourne Hairpin. We keep going. Cranefuss is now back down to the pit lane as a result of their spin, so it looks like their troubles have seen them decide to pull out of the race to close it out. Getting a busy night when it comes to racing action across the iRacing circuit. Special events going on all across the platform, as well as for charity on iRacing social media platforms. Derek Watson currently amongst those working on the team side for that today, as we work forward here for PRL's action on the racetrack. Calix Poon still holding on to a near 6-second advantage. Placio about 8 seconds behind. Potential big shakeups for the points, with J.R. Williams having that incident earlier in the race. Best finish for Williams now could be a 20th place run for the 13 car. 6 minutes behind the leader. For reference, that's 4 laps down. Others like San Diego having to make up for 2 missed races, so an extra drop, so to speak, not playing out. Mitchell Ian Green, meanwhile, slowly starting to chip away, but with 10 laps to go, Poon still is in full command. By the way, confirming the issue when it came to Nonamaker was when they were letting cars go, they were having screen display issues. So technical issues were the reason the 127 was slow around the racetrack. More troubles. Brad Miller now off the track. 15 car was in 15th. It's now had another spin here on the circuit, so they now drop back more time to 17th. Still keep an eye on San Diego on screen. Here's a look at what just happened with Miller for reference. This was a battle for position. Keyword was. Not the greatest of runs for Miller. Michael Overbay, very successful driver in this series in the past, the spotter. Coming up to 9 laps to go. Vargas still in line for the potential first top 10 of the season. Blake Seedy looking to at least pick up one more spot. 2 bad races in a row for that 50 team. Disqualification from incident points and a DNF in the past 2 rounds alone. Seedy looking to have that 50 car's best run all season as well if they can keep this track position. It's been difficult to try and make the moves throughout tonight's race, though. It's important to emphasize, once you have the aero wash, this has been a major factor all season. It can be so difficult to get alongside each other. Quickly touch upon how things are going for others. Here's one of the Precision Racing Esports. Wayne's in a slide to the wall. Manuel Vargas from his best run all year to the wall. Manuel Vargas, his best run all season is over. Seedy now moves up to 8th. Vargas moves to the paddock. Just in front of the 50 car, a spin off the racetrack. Seen troubles for Manuel Vargas. It's the same corner that's caught so many troubles all day, those left side tires. Worst damage for a driver all season, Kevin McPherson, who had a chance to be in the top 10 now off the circuit from this spin. They've now parked it for the night. And as that all went around, why not some more troubles? Marini, from his best run all season with the spin, loses several spots and now has to fight for the top 10. In Calix Poon news, things are looking comfortable. Already lapping James Carter. Poon doing what the 59 needs to do to try and pick up the win. Calix Poon has never won a PRL race. This could be a huge night for that 59 team. Marini, meanwhile, it's not over. Because of that spin, they've gone from a comfortable spot inside the top 5 or so, after running as high as 2nd, mind you, to having to fight off Ryan Miles. Miles, after struggling just 10 minutes ago, now with about 7 laps to go, has a chance to battle it out for 8th. They are the biggest mover in this race. Miles, for reference, 121.5s. Last time around, the average the past 5 laps, 121.3s. Same pace as Marini. However, Marini has been on the back end when it comes to the slides. For Ryan Miles, it's been a bit more of a nuanced campaign after so many charges of the pack just a season or 2 ago. 3 DNFs in 4 races, putting that Atomic Racing car behind the back foot this campaign. Just up the road, his teammate Steven Ritters still having to hold on to the top 5 with one of the best runs for that car. For Steven Ritters throughout the season, very quiet. It's the best way you can describe Ritters when thinking about the point complexion. 12th for Atomic left foot. Had missed a race back in round 3. DNF to start the season. Best points finish inside the top 10 last time out. Now in line for the first top 5 run of the season. they can hold on for 5 more circuits next time by. Incident points potentially could become a factor. Remember, the incident limit, 13 incident points right around the bend. That's all coming while it's been a busy time for drivers in the PRL, because just in the past couple days, Jerome Bentonome announced the first ever All-Star Invitational for the PRL for its drivers from the best campaigns and categories. 34 drivers coming into today had qualified for that event. Kevin San Diego added his name to the list with the win last time out. Poon could add his name to the list this time. Looking meanwhile, Brett Thurman holding on to the top 10. We talked about Thurman looking to need to find some points for his team. 25th in the points today. Has a chance to at least pass a couple cars, with several competitors not finishing. That's Richard Swindells, who looks to try and find a way to get the top 10 run as well. 2 laps their difference on cycles. Under 5 laps to go from Donington Park. Swindells having the momentum. Thurman having the drift this time, heading up to Sector 3 through Coppice. Let's look on board. This is Richard Swindells. Some damage from the transitions on the side of the side pod and that front nose you see. Great run to the S's, however, to close it up by another 10th. Brad Miller, meanwhile, has just had another incident. The 15 car has had a second spin, so that may potentially be another lapped car. Swindells not able to find a way to pull around Thurman's car yet, losing ground to the final sector. It's one of the closest battles on the racetrack currently to close out the race. The other close battle, it just developed right out of thin air. Literally, Blake Seedy went off the track and lost the spot just now to Reto Marini. You see there on the pylon, the 7th. This is why. Once again, this section has been a nightmare. Elevation change in the middle of the corner. One off track. And all the momentum is lost. Marini eventually with the send, wanting the 7th. Three laps to go. Here's what happened to Brad Miller. Meanwhile, that same section about 10 seconds earlier. It's the last car running on the lead lap, barely. See, there's the reason. A little bit different on the right side tires to the inside part of the curbing through McLean's. Mitchell Ian Green, mind you, is down to 5 seconds just about on the gap, but not enough to be able to pounce in 2 laps time unless there's a major problem. Mitchell Ian Green coming so close yet again today with everything happening up front, from the incidents to the attrition. No technical issues this time outside of with this braking there. Seen him cook the tires a little bit and lose a second. But still in line for another great points day. Two to go. 5 more miles from Donington Park. A little bit tight on time, but looks like drivers will get to 32 laps by maybe a few seconds. Placio yet again on the podium. Right now in third, holding off Ridgway's charge. Closing only by 4/10 was Ridgway. The course of this pit stint. Mitchell and Green starting to have to play careful, all while Poon looking just to be able to keep it clean for at least another 1 1/3 circuits. Once again, Poon part-time throughout the campaign in this series. Competitor when it comes to multiple different championships in their respective region from Hong Kong. 1 lap away from PRL career win number 1 here at Donington Park. White flag is out. Final time. Poon set the tempo early on in the day, one of the quickest drivers in practice. Setting the bar for many of the series regulars and really emphasized how big not just track position is, but also comfortability with this racetrack can be once you get that position. Even losing the ground despite the tire spin, was able to keep out of trouble as a result of that contact for the race lead between 2 of your series regulars. While San Diego was able to recover to 6th place. It was a DNF from Boris Ovando after the damage buildup from that. Poon able to take advantage of all the damage control, having to be taken care of by the others today. But for Calix Poon, one final sector to roll through. Nicholas Colander, lap traffic ahead. Not expected to be a factor. For the first time in Calix Poon's career, they are a winner in the PRL. They get it done in the F3 Series. Calix Poon is a winner at Donington Park. Mitchell and Green once again is on the podium as they run out of gas. Julio Placio, a top 3 once again. Ridgway and Ritters, a 4-5 for Atomic Racing. Kevin San Diego recovers to 6th. Loretto Marini, for the first time all season, will see the checker flag and finish a race. Say that's an accomplishment for that 45 is an understatement. Miles Edie Thurman, your top 10. J.R. Williams recovers to 18th by staking it out and getting the damage repair done for points. Takeshi Kita, Mr. Sneaky, only up 8 spots as the last finisher. That just about does it here for today. Believe Nicholas Colander has yet to take the final checker flag mark. So, no changes expected for the results. Let's take a look at them. Calix Poon, 7 seconds the finishing margin for career win number 1 for Zico Life, racing by 36 Tech. Julio Placio on the podium for a second straight week. Mitchell and Green and Placio second and third for a second consecutive week. Ridgway, Ritter, San Diego Marini, a huge day for the 45. It's their first finish all year. Miles, Edie, and Thurman, the top 10. 11th spot going to Richard Swindells with Jeff Groff and Fabio Conde in the top 13. Kita and Colander finishing on the lead lap, now official. Brad Miller, James Carter laps down. J.R. Williams recovers with the damage repair, 4 laps down for the top 18. Farkas, McPherson, Crane Fuss, General, Ovando, Vasconcelos, Nonamaker, and Moran, all with damage and all not finishing. And a DNS for Kristen Jasper. That's a look top to bottom at the running order here today at Donington Park. It's Calix Poon who picks up their first career PRL victory. Calix, you're a winner in the PRL. How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, it feels unbelievable. To be honest, this is like actually the first like league race win for me also. So yeah, I just feel amazing. Finally, I won a race in a league. It's PRL, so yeah, just relieved, I think. Yeah.
So what was it about Donington Park that made things click? Because you were fast from the onset, set the pole time, didn't drop back lower than 30 even with the tire spin.
Yeah, I think I just have a lot of experience in the past for like GT cars. I think like one of the events was the 24-hour series per qualifying. I like really grind this track out, so I basically know all the bits of the track, how to really just take it really fast through the corners. I think really helped me in the Formula 3 car. Although like the lines are slightly different in some places, but generally, yeah, it's just helped me a lot in this race.
So in turn, huge day when it comes to you. You mentioned first time really in the league victory scene, just your third start this season, mind you. What's the plan for the rest of the season? Now that you're a PRL winner, and now that, mind you, there has been a lot of talk about that All-Star Invitational now.
I think just keep just finishing hopefully top 5, keep putting the work in, and yeah, just keep putting the work. And because I've missed quite a few rounds, like I think starting from round 2. So yeah, just trying to get back into top 10 in the leaderboards, in the standings. And yeah, I think that will be my plan for now.
Well, Calvix, congratulations on your victory. You're first in the PRL. Congrats.
Yep. Thank you.
Back-to-back first-time winners in the PRL's F3 series. And in turn, it's back-to-back second places for Mitchell Ian Green. Welcome back. How does it feel to finish second?
Lucky.
Well, a lot of busyness happened in front, but you had to go through a lot of cars, 11th to 2nd. What happened in qualifying, and what in turn made it so difficult to make it through this pack to get here?
Yeah, I went with a high downforce setup in qualifying, and I just wasn't getting the lap times plus traffic. And when I had a chance to nail my lap, I just didn't do it. So I had to start outside the top 10 and work my way up.
And when it comes to this track today, how difficult was Donington Park? Because it seemed it caught a lot of drivers off. It even caught you off guard in the last few stages of that race. The last couple laps, you lost about a second. You were going off track.
Yeah, for sure. So I ran a low downforce setup, and I think a majority of the drivers were running high downforce. And it was quicker on low fuel, but by that time the tires had burned up a little bit, so the rear end was kicking out a lot.
Well, again, Mitchell, congratulations on the podium once again here tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Mitchell Ian Green in second spot tonight. Julio Palacio in third again. And you hear him already hitting his own button to be able to talk forward. Julio, first of all, how difficult was this race? It seemed a bit tricky from the qualifying.
Yeah, it was a very tough race. Qualifying, I knew was tight. That first lap, I know, was going to be kind of hairy for everybody. It's unfortunate what happened to JR right behind me. Almost took me out when he got hit. Not his fault. It's crazy. So yeah, it was. I'm super excited to have gotten through this one. I thought this was going to be the toughest one, and very, very happy to have made it through. And took care of the car in the beginning, and then just kind of brought it home at the end.
Yeah, in turn as well, when it comes to the flow of today, how difficult was it to try and get some of the passing down, because Aero Wash seemed to be at its finest today, to put it politely.
Yeah, this is a very tough track to pass. I mean, if somebody really doesn't want to let you by, they can hold you off for forever. And of course, that then opens up the opportunity for mistakes. So it is somewhat unfortunate, because it is really, really hard to pass, which is why the qual is important. But you also got to make it to the finish as well. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those balances.
So still a few more races to go. Next time by, it's Germany. Your opinions as we get ready for the mid-August stretch.
Definitely looking forward to the last 3 tracks. I love the Nürburgring, so I'll start practicing. It's a fun track of mine. I think I won the last time that I raced here. I got a little lucky. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a fun track. It's one that we can attack and hopefully get some passing in if necessary. So yeah, super excited.
Well, congratulations again on the podium. Your second straight third place run tonight. Big for the championship.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for the broadcast.
Oh, yeah, Placio finishing in third. I'd like to thank him, Mitchell and Green, Calvix Poon for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on RaceSpot. And as just talked about with the couple of the drivers, the Nürburgring Grand Prix Strecke Circuit is up next. August the 10th is the date. 9:30 p.m. is the time, Eastern Time, to see which drivers can conquer the German circuit. On that note, though, we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's action of the Precision Racing League's F3 Series. For my colleague tonight, Raphael Sankey, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the PRL's F3 Series from Donington Park in the UK.